Hey everyone. Just want to talk today. I don't know how long this will be, but we're just gonna wing it. I want to talk today about the comfort zone and sort of breaking old habits. As humans, we are creatures of habit, and that can go either way. That can go in a positive way, with like your daily routine of getting up, drinking your coffee, eating your breakfast, showering, getting dressed, going to work. The routine that keeps you on time and keeps you doing whatever. As mundane as it can become, that sort of good habits, looking both ways before you cross the street, um, things that are safer. And obviously, then you have bad habits, right? And a lot of those can be overeating. They can be, um, self pity, self loathing. And a lot of this with mental health comes back to the way the bad habits we form because of our mental health, the trauma we go through, whatnot. All come back to our comfort zone. And the pretty awesome but not really way, PTSD, especially the more complex form of PTSD, sort of sinks its hooks in, is it gets you to think that all these bad habits, whatever they are, even if you mix some addiction stuff into there, or not sleeping, or not going out in the public, or whatever they are, your PTSD brain gets you to think that these are your comfort zone. This is what you need. This is what feels good to you. This is what you're used to. And for me, that was the way for a long time. Even when I was functioning and doing the job, for the time that I was still in the midst of all this, and maybe outwardly appearing to be doing very well. I was living a life of very bad habits. And the comfort zone that I was in was a very unhealthy one. And it held me back quite a bit, and one of the ways that a lot of us who go through this, when we're able to self-reflect and sort of get that new perspective on, who we were, or where we were, one of the things we're able to see is that our PTSD, as much as some of our mindsets we thought were keeping us safe or keeping us, protecting our well-being, whatever it may be, it was actually holding us back from a lot of things. And one of those biggest things is that, when you have, I mean, a lot of people don't like change, but it tends to be thrown around a lot. Oh, I hate change. This kind of tends to be a joke. But with PTSD and some mental illness and this comfort zone bad habits thing, you really do fear change. And so therefore, with your comfort zone not really being a healthy comfort zone, a lot of times this can keep you from making some of the positive changes and even life altering changes that you can need. And this can be anything from, you know, getting yourself into a better apartment or a house, all the way to promotions on the job, to a better health lifestyle, body changes, eating habits, kicking addictions, whatever they may be. A lot of times this comfort zone holds us back because we literally live in a mindset that we fear change. For me, one of those was I didn't put a lot of effort into trying to get up that promotional ladder. And I've never talked about this before, and I don't regularly talk to people about it. Matter of fact, I don't think I've actually gotten into a regular conversation with anyone about it. But I never put any effort really into getting myself promoted. I went through two promotional exams, and one of which, and this is just the fire, one of which they knew who they wanted, and it was just a formality running the exam. And the other one, I completely, completely destroyed and failed at because I didn't have the self confidence I needed because it was outside of my comfort zone. And I kept telling myself that that would be too much of a change that I didn't want, even though it is. It is what I wanted. I was already, as a senior firefighter, I was already in charge of crews. I was already in charge of daily routines. Becoming an officer was at that point a title. Not saying that becoming an officer is just a title. It wouldn't have changed my role so much short of rank. And I blew it. And I'm not the only person who's blown promotionals. I'm not the only person who's blown job potentials, potential jobs because of their comfort zone. And this doesn't get a lot of play. This topic. Some people are like, oh, yeah, you had PTSD, blah 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 blah, or you seem to do pretty good, but a lot of people don't think of what possibilities that person could have or could have had if we were able to get out of our comfort zone. And so one of the things I just wanted to kind of touch on in this video is that for me to be doing what I am now, and most of you know what I do, um, whatever it is, and it's whether it has to do with who I am, what I am, and what I am being, the advocate, the peer support person, the father, the husband, the friend, the titles in my life, or what I do on a day to day. Everything that I do now, I push myself to go to the next level. Something I couldn't do up until about, no, I would say about a year ago, maybe a little less than a year ago. I've been working towards it for years, but I never did that in my earlier years or years, first 42 years, we'll even say. And there's so much potential out there, and especially in the first responder world, there's so many people that could be doing more and better for themselves, and people, obviously outside that, but we bring all this home to our family, so our spouses and our kids, because unfortunately, for a lot of us, when this mindset becomes what it is, and these bad habits form, and this comfort zone becomes what it is, sometimes we also don't push others. And so, one of the things I always try to tell myself is, and this is gonna maybe sound corny, I am happy with what I have in life. I don't know. I don't know how to say it. I don't know if I will ever settle for anything less to what my goals are. And so that mindset is completely different than what it used to be. And it's hard to get that mindset. When you start setting goals, when you start crushing those goals, you start perpetuating your own future. You start creating your own future, which I know it sounds corny, it sounds hocus pocus, and some of you probably just shut the video off. But I've literally anything I've set out to do that I've given my all to, I am doing. And no, I'm not a millionaire. I didn't set out to become one. You know, I set out to change my health, which I've done. I've set out to change the world in regards to mental health, and I am doing so. I told myself one day I would be presenting on a larger scale in front of people, and I am doing so. From September 8th till November 4th, I actually have 5 speaking gigs in 4 different states. So, yeah, I'm making these things happen. The book, the movie, the other opportunities, everything that I do, I've done because I told myself I wanted to do it. And every day, as hard as life can be, and especially as hard as all of our lives have been in the last few years, especially if you're in the first responder world or, with someone who is, it's really hard to hold on to that mentality. But in order to better yourself and improve your life or improve the lives of those around you, you have to own this. You have to own what you want. Nothing's gonna be dropped in your lap. And for a long time, because of what I had been through, and for a lot of people, in the PTSD mental health wing, going through it, you you almost get in this mindset like, oh, haven't I been dealt enough? Haven't I been given a shitty enough hand? When's it gonna be my turn? When's something gonna happen to me? And you almost, not that you expect any hand me outs or give me's, but you almost think that it's gonna happen because you keep telling yourself you've already been through too much. And I hate to say this and maybe dishearten some people, but doesn't matter what you go through in life. There are still no handouts. There are no freebies. There are no give me's. You could go through the absolute worst possible case scenario as a human being, and life's still going to keep dishing it out to you until you put your feet down and start owning it. And so one of the things that I do every day is I keep setting new goals. Now I hold on to a lot of the long-term goals, but like I said, daily goals, I set weekly goals. My long term are like, weeks, months, even years. Sometimes there's a few of them that are lifelong, and those don't change. But every day and every week, I give myself something to obtain. I challenge myself every day, and I challenge all of you to try to do the same. In order to get better, we have to be better. And it takes a conscious effort to break yourself out of these bad habits. And it takes you pulling yourself out of a comfort zone to put yourself out of that comfort zone. I think I put up a meme a couple of days ago, and it was something to the effect of I am perpetually out of my comfort zone, right? Constantly working outside of my comfort zone, and I am. And that out of my comfort zone is starting to become a little bit more comfortable. It's kind of like the get comfortable being uncomfortable slogan we like to throw around in this field. And so I kind of am. It's not my comfort zone, but I'm getting more comfortable operating outside my comfort zone, and everybody can do it. There's a lot of people we work with and a lot of people we know that do this in this field in the military. You become complacent and you stop meeting goals. There's nothing wrong with being happy with where you're in life. There's nothing wrong with that. If you are legitimately happy with where you're at in life, that's fine. But I think everyone always wants to do it just a little bit better. And in regards to like, the PTSD brain, the mental health, stuff like that, you have to take that conscious step to get yourself out of those bad habits and out of that comfort zone that, just keeps you where you are at. And when you look back on it and you're out of that mindset and you're able to see where you were and how much you just spun your tires. You sat there in place in the mud and spun those tires for years, decades maybe. When you're able to get yourself and challenge yourself, want to challenge yourself every day to do something, to be a better person, to get less upset, to fly off the handle more, to take things with a grain of salt, to look at maybe the other person's perspective, to ask the question you weren't willing to ask years ago. And sometimes that can be all it takes to get you to start forming those new habits. And one of the biggest habits I'm guilty of that I am slowly breaking is a conversational habit. And I think this is really a man thing, but it could be across the board. Not that it's a narcissistic thing. I'm not a narcissist, but sometimes it's hard. And a lot of this is because of trauma brain. Sure. This is why it's a new thing for me. A lot of times when you're hurting, when you're in conversation with people, even if you're not in the shit at the moment, sometimes you forget to ask how that makes the other person feel, or what do you think of this situation, or how would you do this. Conversation gets lost as part of being a bad habit, and sometimes that is because we're in this comfort zone where we almost don't want to hear the other person's side of it because, well, let's face it, when you have PTSD and you have, the mental health, and you have trauma brain or whatever it may be, hearing someone else's interpretation where it may come across as a really good story and they actually don't get upset about something is like, man, I really wish I could be like that. And I'm so sick and tired of hearing other people be like, wow, I'm clicking my heels and fighting rainbows and everything's great. And so that comfort zone is, I don't want to hear that because that's just going to reinforce how much of a bad person I am. And so one of the things I work on these days, and it's, whether it's with friends, with my wife, now that my youngest is 3, I can sort of bring it in with her. because she's way too smart for her age, is really wrapping my head around in creating a good habit out of conversations, where it doesn't matter what I'm talking about. I get into a conversation where we're talking about it, and I try to engage that person as much as I can because for years, um, I think a lot of conversations can be one-sided, and so, I mean, there's so many bad habits out there. So many of us have that we don't realize we're doing, and a lot of that is because of our comfort zone. We're almost afraid sometimes, um, to switch the habit. We may not even realize they're a bad habit. I'm not, everyone's like, "Oh, smoking's a bad habit." Sure, drinking, over drinking, smoking, drugs, sure, bad habits, addictions. Sure, those probably the extreme end of the spectrum. Uh, but something as simple as just never offering to do groceries because you don't like to deal with people. Things like that. That's actually a bad habit. Some people have social anxiety and stuff like that, but at the same time, you're not really bettering yourself by not. And I'm not a doctor. I'm not trying to tell people who have social anxiety to go running out of their house into a mall. I'm not. I'm just saying that, um, the bad habits aren't like the obvious ones always. It could be something as simple as, just the way you don't do things that that you really should be for your health. So, not the most thrilling conversation tonight, but something I haven't talked about before, and through a few videos, I've been seeing some, not this conversation, but people hinting at staying the way you are, and and not changing, and kind of comfort zone stuff, but no one getting this deep into it. So I just want to touch on it and put some feelers out there, and let everybody know that you're all capable of doing better. I'm not saying that anyone's doing bad in particular, but I think we all know that there's certain things in our life we can be better at, or do better at, or put more effort into, or set more goals. And getting that perspective change is huge and it's important. And for me, I got that through coaching. I got that through Jen Anderson and first responder coaching. And I'm not throwing in a sales gig here. I mean, I'm serious. I don't. Everyone who knows me knows that I've done a lot of stuff. I've done a lot of different modalities and stuff. And sure, I've worked on a lot of my trauma through therapy. Most of the trauma I've worked on has been on my own through my book. But when it comes to like changing my perspective and getting out of my comfort zone and setting those goals, that was all through coaching. And for those of you that know what I do these days, know what I have done in the last 9 months, almost all of that is from the perspectives that I now have, and the goals and the self-esteem I have from working with a coach in a very, I almost said intimate, that wouldn't have been good, a very close partnership, uh, being asked questions that I wasn't prepared, maybe to be asked, which were good because it got me out of my comfort zone. And everyone can do this. And as first responders, we need to, because there's so many different parts of our life, both professionally and personally, that could be so profoundly affected by just getting that perspective change and setting those goals. So that's my spiel today. Um, Again, if you want to know more about this coaching stuff, you can hit me up and I can talk to you privately about it. I'll even hop on a Zoom with you and tell you more about it. If you want to talk directly, you can go to the website. It's www.1strespondercoaching.org. You guys can hit me up anytime, whether it's through YouTube or on social media, uh, or whatnot. But never stop trying to do better, guys and gals. Set those goals. It's worth it. It's worth it. You never know what you could do by setting goals that you think are small, but have a very large and profound effect on the world around you. And we're all capable of doing it. So much love. Thank you to all of you who are still active on the job or in the military. Again, much love. And I'll talk to you guys later.